Giant stalker, dragon stalker, crypt stalker, demon stalker, rift stalker, grown stalker, grip stalker, scourge stalker, wind runner. I'm a pony, lead skill hunter. A death dealer, a life stealer. That's just the cost of being awesome.
Welcome to episode 236 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from Thrill of the Wild and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast, Blizzard Watch, and Bendak WoW on Twitter.
And I'm Roger Brown from NobodyDrinksLikeAHunter.com, the Hunter's Party Palace, and at Method Roger on Twitter.
All right. Today is Sunday, March 20th, the first 2016, the first day of spring in most places. Although it probably doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it for me. And we are broadcasting live on twitch.tv. You can participate in the live chat room where our lovely moderator, Ali Sonder, is there to take your questions. So we've got a pretty good show this week. There was another, at least announcement for an alpha build. This was Legion build 21287, which is, I like that number. It's very close to being a Star Wars number. Just one extra 2 in there, and it would be perfect. But I don't know if this has been actually released to test. You guys can tell me, because I seem to be the odd man out still as far as who's in the alpha and who's not. But there were some pretty big changes coming. So is this available yet, or is it you're waiting for the publisher?
Yeah, the stuff that Celestalon announced is not out yet, like Marksmanship Pet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so we'll have to see. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I checked I think yesterday, and it wasn't in, so probably not in yet. Yep.
So the big news, as you mentioned, Delirium, was Celestalon's announcement earlier this week that Marksmanship is going to be getting its pet back baseline, and that Lone Wolf would be, I think a level 15 talent for those that like, being a ranged rogue. You still have that option. But what are some thoughts on this? As it was a pretty big change, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to think about what's. I'm not sure what they're thinking. Like his reasoning was, they mentioned on both the BM and the MM forum posts that they were getting a lot of feedback that all the specs are just so incredibly different from what they used to be. So they didn't leave any specs even close to what it used to feel like. And I'm not really excited that this is the one they chose. I would have liked to see Beast Mastery revert back to more similar to what it is on live, but I don't know. It's my big concern. I've pretty much gotten over the fact that they were taking away Marksmanship's pet, so I don't feel too upset about that. But I also now don't feel too upset about getting it back. I just don't know if I have a lot of faith that they're going to balance it very well. It's really proved hard to balance a tier that that takes away a pet like that has such a major talent that changes the whole feel of the spec. So I'm not sure what they have planned or how they're going to make the other 2 talents in that tier matter, or if it's just going to be a kind of cosmetic choice. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm really, when I saw this news or whatever you want to call it, the announcement of it coming soon, I was like, it didn't make sense to me, honestly, because from what I read, okay, they say you don't have this, you have like a strong hunter and 1 pet. You don't have that feeling anymore, right? But then they say the same for the Beast Mastery, and they say that there's gonna be an option where you kind of get that feeling. I think they're gonna not have Dire Beast. It's going to be an option. Am I getting this right?
Right. Instead of lots of Dire Beasts, you'll have 1 kind of flurry of Dire Beast attacks.
Yeah,
have lots of extras. Yeah.
Yeah, but that is going to give you that feeling of you plus a big pet, and that's it, right? So they're saying they're going to try to do that in Beast Mastery, but they're like, what the heck? Let's just put it in MM as well. What? Like, I really don't understand that logic. And honestly, the one thing, because I thought about this a lot, yeah? they said they're gonna put it as a talent on the first tier, and I mean, obviously, this might change in the future, where you go for lone. It's gonna like the baseline will be that you have a pet, correct? And you're gonna use that lone wolf talent like we use right now, and it's gonna remove it, and you're gonna get more damage. Okay. So the problem with this is that you have the first 3 talents in the first tier. So if either of the other 2, so there's 2 other talents there, except apart from Lone Wolf, if either of those 2, so 2 out of 3 times, let's say, you'll pick one of the other talents, and you will have a pet. Okay, so it's more likely that you will have a pet, assuming like they're kind of scaled good. They're not like there's no useless talent there. What I would have liked instead would be that there would be a talent which gives you a pet instead. Because then that means that, oh hey, I want a pet, I'll just pick this talent because I really want a pet now, but then it will be only 1 out of 3 times. Only 1 out of the 3 talents will give you a pet. So you're more likely to not have a pet with what I'm saying now, yeah? I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, I really hate the fact that they just throw you a pet and say, oh, if you want, you can get rid of it. I would much have rather liked the idea of, hey, you don't have a pet, but if you really want one, you can go ahead and pick this talent, which will probably be, worse than the others.
And what are your thoughts on this one, Bendek?
Yeah, I've also seen some other people suggest that maybe they should just make it into like a baseline thing, not even a talent. Just because, I don't know. To me, the whole adding the pet back, like Delirium, I've already accepted the fact that this what marksmanship is going to be now. So I'm just kind of like, oh, that's cool, but I just don't really expect it to. I don't expect it to be like. I expect Lone Wolf to be like the best talent. They'll probably balance around that.
Yeah, that was something else that Celestalon said, is that they were going to make the Lone Wolf talent really competitive. And I don't exactly know if that means he's going to make it better or going to make them all really even.
Yeah, and
I mean, it's
basically, yeah, I just want to say this, yeah? Basically, they're forcing it on you like this, yeah? Because they're going to make it probably the best one, so people will get that talent, which means that you basically, out of nowhere, you lose a tier of talents. From what we have now on live, after the patch hits, you don't have a choice on the first tier of the talents, which sucks. It goes against the logic that, oh, you pick whatever talent you like. Well, no, if you're going to make this the best one, then I'm going to be forced to take it, and I'm not going to take the true aim one, right? That's the name, right? Where you get the stacks, and it's kind of cool. I kind of like that talent. Well, now I'm not going to take it because I'm going to go with Lone Wolf because it's going to be better. Yeah. So that's why, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I think it's a good point. I think to what Bendek said when they talked about making this be baseline, I mean, I think when people mention that, the idea is, hey, if you pull your pet out, your pet's going to do the damage it's supposed to do. But if you dismiss the pet, then you as the hunter would do it. Or, I mean, I think although the only problem with that is if your pet dies, then there's no penalty for that in that situation. So you'd probably have to make it something that you toggle on or an ability that you turn on and off. And maybe once you're in combat, it's the kind of thing where you can't touch it when you're in combat. So, you kind of make a per fight decision. But I think having it be baseline like that is probably better than as a talent, because I mean they said that they want to make it very competitively tuned, but I think that's going to be hard to do. I mean, they weren't really able to do it. I don't know how well they tried in Warlords of Draenor with the Lone Wolf talent, but I can't imagine it being all that different this time around.
Yep. The only good news from that is that it's gonna basically replace exotic munitions, yeah. So it's gonna be placed at the Black Arrow, and then the Black Arrow is gonna go down a couple of tiers, and it's gonna replace exotic munitions. So exotic munitions is gone, which is great, and because I think it's a really boring talent. I had an idea actually for exotic munitions, which I think would be way cooler, where it's an active thing, and like something like, okay, it would have 30 seconds cooldown, and then you press it, and then for the next 10 seconds your shots are exploding, you know, and then they are doing something else instead of these boring exotic munitions where you just press it before the fight starts and you forget about it. So I'm glad that it's gone because I didn't like the current iteration of it. Plus, I kind of like that it's in the same tier with the explosive shot, because then it kind of means like, okay, you don't have, we're not going to end up with this ridiculous rotation where you have 4 more abilities from your talents and it's going to be all over the place. Yeah, it's kind of, oh, do you want explosive shot or do you want a black arrow? Kind of like, do you want AoE or do you want single target? I kind of like that if they tune it properly. Yeah.
Yeah, which is hard to imagine because explosive shot is crazy powerful right now.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Which is fine. And it's a skill shot too, so there's some hindrance to
Oh
taking
yeah.
it. But man, that's a lot of damage it does.
Yeah, and it's free. It's the best. It's only sometimes when I'm trying to do my rotation and I'm still not used to it, so I kind of forget to press it on time because I'm focusing on what I'm going to press next, and that thing speeds up so fast that you blink, and then suddenly it's gone 20 yards further, and you're just, oh god, you look like a dumbass as well. Oh, it's just embarrassing if someone sees that. Yeah, explosive shot is probably one of the coolest talents that they put in.
So, quick question about that. The change to the mouse, or like the key up and the key down thing, did that have to be in place in order for this to work? Because I can imagine, I mean, does it engage on key down now, or is it like, I don't know. I feel like the way that it moves, you press it right before it gets to the spot where you need it to detonate, and how does lag work with that? Because, you know, some of us aren't.
Yeah, bad
the
lag and you'll miss it completely. So that's just going to be part of the talent, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think they might just need to make it move a little bit slower, honestly. Or like right now, it feels like it's ramping up speed way too fast. I don't know if it's just me, but I think it should just move steadily and a little bit slower. And because right now, honestly, what I'm doing in these dungeons, I'm just going into melee and just spam it and insta explode it. So I'm like, okay, I got this covered. Don't worry, I'm not gonna miss it. Plus, I think it has a very big issues when mobs are moving as well. Like, so if the mobs are not stationary and you're trying to hit that shot, wait, what did I say? If they're not stationary, yeah, if your tank is dragging them around, it's actually not easy to land it properly and hit all the targets. You might hit half of them, but that still feels kind of bad.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there anything like a shadow or something that you can refer to on the ground to try to time it, or is it really just by feel or random?
I didn't notice the shadow. I think it's just a missile.
It's just a missile. Yeah. I
think maybe some kind of like ring around it or something would be nice, so you know the radius of it.
Yeah, or I think maybe they should just make it so that the first thing it hits, it's just exploding as well. I don't know. So if you shoot it towards a boss, it's gonna explode when it reaches him, and you don't have to think about it too much.
I'm not crazy about the facing requirement, like that you have to be facing where you want to shoot it. But
yeah, that was a lot harder than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
Especially when strafing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like an instant, right? But it's not that easy to do while running away, you know, and kiting, or you're running away from a mechanic and you want to just quickly throw the instant at that point because you can't aim shot at that time. So it's not that easy though. Like, you have to spend a lot of your focus on it, because if you're moving away from it as well, like if you're stationary and you see the missile going forward, it's quite easy to say, okay, now I want to explode it. But if you're strafing away from it and you go in like an angle, it gets a bit more tricky. I don't know.
Right. I think a lot of people, like kind of old school hunters, will enjoy, especially if you had to spend a lot of time working on your jump shot, if you're a big kiter back in the day. You can do that with explosive shot. If you time your spin right, you can put it in the direction you want. It's a lot, it's not, with the old jump shot, we just had whatever angle you had to be within. Here you have to be pretty precise, but it's doable. It's just really hard, and you got to think about it. So I think it'll be fun for soloing situations like that.
Yeah. I would like to be an option, like where you press a button and like maybe a minor glyph or something where it just makes it like a homing missile, So you just throw it and it goes to your target and explodes on the target instead, something like that. I don't know.
Or at least give us a targeting reticle like the trap thrower.
Right. Or you can just make it like you guys played Half-Life 2 any of those games where the rocket launcher, you shoot it and then there's a laser and you can guide the missile. Oh, that would be awesome as well. You just guide it, you spin it around and it goes wherever you're facing.
Oh, if they put that in there, there's going to be a lot of yelling about Eyes of the Beast.
Okay, that's not really a good idea, probably.
But and when you use this, I mean, do you have time to do anything else in between while it's traveling, or you're firing in this and you're pretty much just focused on this, waiting till it gets to where you're hoping it'll go, and then detonating it?
Yeah, you can do that's the problem, right? I think it's the easiest is either if it's really close, so you just insta-explode it, okay? Or if it's quite far away, so you can send it, then queue up your next global, and then time it properly and explode it, like half a second after. Like, let's say after 1.5 seconds, it will reach at the point that you want. I think where it gets really tricky for me sometimes is when it's exactly at the same time when I'm trying to queue up my next global, okay? Because then I have to press it at the same time as the other thing, and if I'm moving as well at the same time, it's just sometimes I'll just explode it a little bit too early or a little bit too late, and it's gonna hit half of the pack instead of the full amount. It's kind of like, I think it's more though it has more to do with muscle memory, and getting used to it. And yeah, I think it's gonna be okay in the end. But yeah, I still think that it should go a little bit slower.
Quick question about threat on that. If you're pulling, if your tank is pulling a whole bunch of little minions and they just got threat, does this put out a lot of threat?
If they're little minions, they'll all be dead by the time you cast it.
Oh, that's good.
It does a lot of damage.
So it's right now at 10 times your attack power without being affected by armor, which I believe makes it so it's more powerful than Wind Burst, depending on what your weapon damage is. But yeah, it's pretty crazy for an AoE ability. I haven't tried it with threat, or I haven't had any problems like where I've taken threat off of a tank in a dungeon or anything, so it looks like it's not too bad, but I also wouldn't open with it because you want to wait until the tank gets everybody close together anyway.
It sounds like a very cool ability. Certainly worth trying. And like I said, it gives you a little bit of something extra to do to try and sort of master, the spec. I don't know. It just sounds like a lot of fun. Exploding missiles are cool. What can you say?
Yeah, it really feels good because in a dungeon scenario as well, the pack is like half HP or so. Okay, and then you go there, and you start barraging, and then at the end you explode your explosive shot as well, and you just suddenly see that everything is dead, and you know it's because of you. It's a great feeling.
Now, is exotic munitions just being moved from marksmanship, or do you think are they just getting rid of it entirely? Because we've always sort of complained about this talent just across the board, and so I'm just curious if they're just going to get rid of it altogether.
Right. It's gone from BM also, or at least that was the announcement at the same time. And Survival, of course, has no more munitions.
Right. So it looks like they're just finally giving up on it entirely, which
I haven't heard if there might be some addition to the PvP talent tree. If there is, we haven't heard about it yet, but that could be the only place I could imagine it returning.
Yeah, for BM, it's being replaced with the new Dire Frenzy that they announced.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. I mean, because that was a bit of a change too, and impacts sort of Beast Mastery's focus regen, I believe. So why don't you talk a little bit about that one, Bendek?
All right, so Dire Frenzy, it's a talent, and it basically replaces Dire Beast. And when you use it, it makes your main pet do a flurry of attacks, gives you a attack speed buff, and generates focus. It's got a 15-second cooldown, which is just slightly more than Dire Beast, which is 12. And it fully interacts with the whole Wild Call mechanic, which is the mechanic that let you reset the cooldown of Dire Beast and summon more. So if you get cooldown resets of this, you just can use them back to back, and then apparently the haste buff it gives you stacks if you use multiple in that period, in a short period of time.
Yeah. So I mean, and the question is this going to be actually better than Dire Beast, or is it intended to be just another option? I assume they're supposed to be on par with one another, but this sounds pretty good.
Well, I haven't tried it yet, but honestly, it sounds like why isn't this like the baseline ability? It sounds way cooler than I press a button and a Dire Beast appears. Oh
Yes.
wow! Like this sounds way cooler. It's less clunky. You don't have I don't know. It just sounds cooler, and I don't know. I hope that it will be the best one, because I don't really like the whole Dire Beast spamming thing. I don't think it's that great. I am actually a believer of the strong hunter with a strong pet, one pet only. I do like that, but for BM only. And so yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, so this is on the tier with Chimshot and Stomp, which Stomp, I have no idea how that's going to be affected by this, or if it'll be gone. Is that supposed to be damage your Dire Beast is doing every time it comes in? Chimshot, of course, is really strong right now, but I don't know how it'll compare with this talent.
Right, so I think it probably will be better than Dire Beast, but that's only because you have to give up like Chimera Shot to get it, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and Chimera Shot right now is so important for BM because of the lack of focus you have, and there's free GCDs that you have, so you want to use it on something. So maybe it's something when you end up getting some epics and you don't need it necessarily. And of course on 2 boss, when you can cleave off, Chimera Shot will still probably be the best.
Yeah, it's still doing pretty great damage, especially for BM. I think it'll look like a really strong shot. So it's just a matter if you want, AoE situations where haste is really good, probably take the, what's it called? Dire Frenzy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gem shot for small cleaver, single target.
And I think something like that, situation like that, is fine. I mean, I like situational talents because that way they get utilized. I mean, oftentimes it's hey, this one parses out to be the best, and then you just take it, and then you just forget about the others, until the next expansion when they redo the talent. So the idea, the notion that there's situational talents, I think is a pretty good design. I think it's almost like the best you can hope for with some of these talents is to because anytime that one is better than the other, that's what you pick, and then the others are just wasted sitting there on the tree. But just have a pretty icon and that's it. So it sounds like that may be the case with Dire Frenzy, which is fine. And I don't know, I never really I kind of like the idea of Dire Beast and having multiple Beast Mastery, having multiple pets. I thought was kind of a neat idea.
As long as they
I like the idea too, Dire Beast. Sorry, but I still think I might like this even better, just because I like the idea of making my main pet more powerful, and controlling more of its attacks. Like one thing I really miss is that the original version of Blink Strike. I used to always like having that second control that attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
And this makes me just like sort of feel like that, but also you get like all like the haste buff and the focus and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
this
used to get really excited to press kill command. Now, it's like, whatever. So this is, the new kill command. Like, oh, go in, get him.
And I think that's a good idea. I mean, I was thinking about, coming out of Mists of Pandaria, the complaint about the hunter specs was that they all felt too similar. And the reality was, I think their rotations and the ability there's a lot of shared abilities between the three, so they didn't feel all that different, going from one to the other. They didn't address it a whole lot. I mean, a little bit, I guess, in Warlords of Draenor, but I never really felt like the pet was the issue. And this sort of goes back to marksmanship getting its pet back. I always felt like removing the pet from marksmanship. I didn't like it initially in Warlords of Draenor, but like everybody else, after almost a year and a half now, however long it's been, you get used to it. So you become comfortable with the idea. But I always thought maybe marksmanship having a pet, I don't think was the issue with it feeling different or or unique or the same as the others. But my point here is beast mastery. It just seemed like it's always had a more powerful pet than the other specs. But I kind of like the idea of the kill commands and now this dire frenzy where you had abilities that were pet oriented abilities where you're actually sort of commanding the pets and the damage was sort of coming based on that versus you and your gun or your bow and the abilities that you were doing. And that maybe that's what they should have looked at more for beast mastery this time around.
Actually thinking about it a little bit now, what I would actually accept and I would be fine with for marksmanship would be if they don't just have you have a pet and you just put it in to attack and you forget about it and you get angry when it gets stuck or when it dies from random stuff, because it's stupid. Like I was doing time walking, and there's this boss where in the is it called the Nexus?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the last boss, if you don't move, you get a lot of stacks and then you die, and the pet dies to that. It's like great, like it's just annoying things like that. And basically, the only situation where I would like to have a pet as a marksmanship would be if it actually synergized a little bit and it felt good as a marksmanship hunter, meaning that it would be a ranged pet, like we used to have the wind serpent, for example. Something like that, where it just shoots with you, and you're just both pumping out those shots, and maybe have some abilities that work with the pet, like kill command for a beast mastery. So it would not that to the same extent. You wouldn't be relying so much on your pet, but it would give you that feeling of we're both shooting hard hitting stuff to our target, and here help me out and do something. I don't know with the shots. Like I don't know. It's just I just thought about it now. I don't know, something like that. Maybe it goes on your arrow and you just shoot it in the boss's face. I don't know.
You need a.
But yeah, I don't know why they went completely away from having the ability to have ranged pets as a hunter. I never understood why that had to be the case, no matter what.
Well, those wind serpents were pretty terrible.
Wait, what?
At least at aiming.
I thought it was at aiming. Okay. They were the best pets to have though at some point, weren't they? Pretty sure.
I was actually thinking of the tier bonus in at the middle of MOP.
Oh no! I'm talking about. I think it was like TBC.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Actually,
I want to say Burning Crusade. I thought they were.
I remember taming one at like Zul'Gurub or something like that. Like there was like special pets still back then, and they had more powerful. I remember going into Zul'Gurub to get one.
Yeah, it was before they made the whole the pet either bites or claws or something else.
Yeah.
Before that time, every pet had a different basic attack, and the wind serpent one was like the best for at some period, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember what it does. I think you're right. I think it was Burning Crusade, and I can't remember what it did unless it had some sort of armor debuff or something. I really don't remember, but yes, I think you're right though that wind serpents were a coveted pet at one point in time.
It was some kind of ranged lightning attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that would be an acceptable thing for me to have an actual pet that doesn't just go on the boss and you forget about it. That's so boring. I don't know.
Yeah.
Might as well not have one.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, that was one of the disappointing things about Stampede. You just hit it, and I mean, it had to be changed so that they immediately spawned on your target, and but there's all the stuff going on underneath the boss. You don't even know they're there.
Yeah, you just look at the damage meter and you're like, oh yeah, I guess I used it.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Less something dies, and then you see the pack. You time it slightly wrong, or the boss dies at the end of the fight, and they're still up. And you're just like, okay, it looks kind of cool, but
I miss the good old days when everybody knew I cast Stampede because their frame rate went way down.
Yeah. Right now, the times where I know that I've used it is when I use it as my first GCD on a boss, and because the tank, didn't insta-taunt or something, or I maybe pushed the button half a second too early, I see one of my pets just lying there dead from the start of the fight. I'm like, oh well, that's the same. But yeah, that's it. Like after, because you use it on the pool, yeah. Yeah, good luck seeing anything on the pool with bloodlust and everything going on.
Well, you will see the new Stampede. That one's pretty visible.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. It's just, I don't know. It doesn't feel like they're my pets. It might as well. I mean, it could be any kind of a visual effect. Any kind of particle going across the screen.
Except they're giant monkeys.
Except that.
That's right. So they changed Stampede, right? So it no longer pulls from your stable, correct? They're random pets, kind of like a glorified dire beast. Is that that's how they did it?
Except they charge forward now. Like they start behind you basically, and they charge straight towards where you're aiming.
Mm-hmm.
And like explosive shot, it's based on where you're facing. So if you're like 90 degrees and you cast it on the target, it's not going to go towards your target.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. So there's a tiny bit of skill involved in there. It sounds like great.
Yeah.
But
we had a couple of cosmetic BM changes, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, we should talk about that since we're talking about pets a little bit. I mean, something I believe I read it on your site, Bendek, Eyes of the Beast. This essence swapper, it sounds like this was data mined. Maybe it hasn't quite appeared yet.
Yeah, it's well, basically a lot of people were, complaining that they're going to have Hati and they're going to be stuck with this same wolf for the entire expansion. But so I guess Blizzard's listening because they added this item called Essence Swapper. And it says, channel the Essence Swapper at your pet for 10 seconds, at which point Hades' atomic structure will instantly change to match your pet's.
So will it be an exact copy of the pet, or will it be maybe like a slightly different skin coloration, or just going to be, sounds like it'll be just a clone of your pet, like having two of the same pet out?
Yeah, it sounds like it'll be a clone. My question is if then you can dismiss the first pet and then summon a new one so you have two different ones.
Yeah, that's what I would hope you could do that. I think that would be very nice if you could do that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty neat. I mean,
yeah, I think that's how it's going to work.
Yeah.
Although it should be noted that Hades' model looks really good, though. I mean, it sounds like I saw you had a picture of that too. I don't know if you can grab that for the show notes and put it on the stream. A nice screenshot that Bendek had taken. But I mean, the wolf model for Hades looks really, really nice. It's no longer skull, correct?
Right. Yeah, it's not like the old Wrath one at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even the Warlord's model. It's a new model, right?
Yeah, it's a new one.
Yeah, it's a brand new wolf model. I mean, I was searching around Petopia a little bit. It sounds like a lot of these pet skins are getting updated, kind of like what they did with the bears. I mean, we know about the bears, and it sounds like there are others that they're now kind of modernizing for the game. And I don't know which ones yet are new models that are being introduced versus things that they're actually just updating across the board. I think we're going to see a combination of both in Legion.
I think they got inspired for the new model after watching the Twilight. Kind of looks like that, only with a different color. It looks cool though, I must agree.
So you can give the wolf and what's the other one that's kind of maybe go with a bat and you can have great your Twilight team Edward and team whatever the other guy is. Oh boy.
Speaking of wolves, there's another pet that someone found is a mechanical wolf, and I don't know if you remember the pets from Mists of Pandaria where you had to find their tracks and then hunt them down and use your flare.
Mm-hmm.
This one, it's this mechanical wolf that wanders around and he leaves pools of oil on the ground. That's how you find him, and he looks pretty neat.
Yeah,
That
I
is
saw
cool.
that on Petopia. Somebody found that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw the screenshot. I forget what the name of it was, but I think it was a reference to like Capcom's Mega Man series. It was Treble, I believe, or something like that. I'm not that familiar with the Mega Man series, to be honest with you, but I did look that up. But yeah, as a mechanical wolf, that looks very, very cool. It's nice to see them introduce things like that. And I wonder if there'll be any other trick to taming it, or is it just like follow the pools of oil and see where it leads?
It's just follow the pools of oil. It's the same as the Mists of Pandaria ones.
Well, you can't tame it at all yet, right? It's still got the...
I found it and just took some screenshots. I couldn't tame it.
Now, did you have to use your flare to make the pools of oil appear, or are they just on the ground? I don't know if you had to use your flare for those tracks or not. No, that's the way it was in Mists of Pandaria. You could follow the tracks, and then you had to use your flare to make the pet appear.
Right. Yeah.
Am I a bad hunter for not knowing that this ever existed?
Oh, really? You never got any of the rare pets in Mists of Pandaria. I didn't realize.
No, I'm not really that kind of guy. I don't know. I don't really care as much to try and get hard pets. Hard to get pets. The only one I ever got the only ones I ever tried a little bit were at the Firelands daily place. Because I really liked the cat from there. That had like the black skin, whatever, like metal skin.
Oh, right. Scar. Yeah, the one
Scar,
on the islands out there that you had.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was amazing. And yeah, then that's it. Like I think I tamed like 3 from there. There were some spiders, and that's it. Like I don't know. I'm not really a pet guy.
Do you have any spirit beasts?
Any what?
Spirit beasts.
I want to say I have one, but yeah, I think I got one just so that I had the heal option for arena back in the day. I think that's it.
Well, if you want an, I'd say easy spirit beast, I mean, the porcupines from Mists of Pandaria. I mean, there's challenges behind them, but they're pretty much always there. They have a pretty high, pretty quick respawn timer. So if you need to get a spirit beast, I would say that's a quick way to go. Pretty much guaranteed to see one up when you go there. The others are still, harder to get, especially the ones from Wrath of the Lich King where they were introduced. I imagine those are just still heavily camped by everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Loch-Nahak, what was it?
Yeah, Loch-Nahak. And Arcturus is the other one. I think it's just because he only spawns in one specific place and doesn't even wander around. I mean, that one you pretty much. I don't know how people get that one nowadays.
Just to get some fun screenshots.
Yeah.
Just for screenshots, I went to tame Skull on the alpha just to see if I could, and he was up, and so I was like, oh, I might as well fly around Northrend. And ended up getting both Loke and Arcturus at the same time. So nice. Apparently that's the secret. Do it on the alpha.
Yeah, do it on the alpha. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I even found the Timeless Protodrake on the alpha.
Did you?
Oh man.
Only you could keep him.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So what else do we have? There's some other general changes. Nothing major. I mean, there was a lot of what looked like to me tooltip changes, so I didn't really focus on those too much. There's like a tooltip change, even flare, which I listed here, which just had a tooltip cleanup. I mean, the one ability, what is it? Like the caltrops had its cooldown reduced, I think, from 30 seconds to 15.
Well,
And
one thing that they said, I think, is that I don't know, is that in yet? I didn't actually check. For the survival, that the traps are gonna have way shorter cooldown,
Yeah,
Right,
we
and
should
all
we totally
separate
skipped over
cooldowns.
that.
and that they are not gonna have the same CD as well. Like they're gonna have separate cooldowns. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've actually been playing with that a bit. Yeah, all the traps are individual cooldowns now, and their damage has been increased too in a lot of cases.
Yeah. Question is, how
Like
does it feel? Because I didn't play survival, honestly.
Well, I'd still prefer if we still did like the trap launcher option so that I could just drop it at my feet because I'm in melee anyway. But it's since survival has so much downtime, it actually gives you something to do in those periods where you have
Okay.
nothing else to do, right?
Yeah. The only thing that I don't know is that does it feel like, okay, I want to drop this trap because it's amazing, or does it feel like I'm just gonna fill my downtime with random traps that do a little bit, so it's a DPS increase, but it's like whatever, just throw it out. Like
I
that's
think
what I'm saying.
it's somewhere in between. It's like it's not as bad as it was, but it still needs something else. Like maybe if it just had better effects or something, so it looked cooler. But right now, like you can do anywhere from like I think it's 1 to 3 combat traps that you can, depending on your talents. Like if you don't take any of the trap talents, you're still going to want to use explosive trap. But then there's like steel trap and dragon's fire trap, which is also in buffed and damage.
Yeah.
Or dragon's fire grenade. Sorry.
Yeah. Hopefully it won't feel weird, honestly, because I don't know. It just doesn't really have great appeal to me when you're melee and you're like trying to hack and slash the boss, etc. You're just, we'll just lay the trap here. It's just traps should be something that you sneakily put somewhere and then it triggers. It's not like I'm just pressing it, and like might as well just be something that I just some other ability that did the same thing, but I'm doing it. I'm not laying a trap for it. Do you know what I mean? Like how many
Yeah.
times are you actually gonna you're gonna set your trap and then you're gonna bring the mobs on them, and it's like I prepared so much for this, which is the concept of a trap. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's why they renamed the dragon's fire one to a grenade. And I think in the
Grenade,
next patch, they're changing it so that it just tosses a grenade at your target
Yeah.
instead of having to place it. But
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I guess explosive trap. It's still kind of like it's not really a trap. It's like it's just like an explosive. Well, maybe it should just be explosive grenade or something. I don't know.
Yeah, the slow trap is fine. You lay the
Yeah.
trap and it slows. I think that works fine. I like using it, but the damage ones, like might as well be a grenade. Exactly. You're just like a bomb blobber from Hearthstone.
Another thing about survival is like I kind of skipped over it for a few builds, but I was playing it a bit this most recent build, and it just seems more responsive. I guess I don't know. It's hard to. It's almost like the animations are quicker. Are they? I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. It just felt better.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys have played it at all recently.
Yeah, I
I
haven't.
haven't. My
I've been sticking to my ranged specs. Sorry, go ahead.
I tried to level a gnome as survival just because I thought it would look cool, but it's just so slow going. I can't get into melee.
well, that's the question with survival. I mean, now that you guys have had a chance to try it out, I mean, you played hunters for as ranged, as a ranged class for forever. I mean, are you warming up to the melee, or is it just something that it's there, you've tried it, but there's no way that you'll use it for anything serious anyway?
I don't know. I think still it needs to find some kind of niche, and I don't think that it has. Because otherwise, why wouldn't you just play any other melee spec that probably does any other melee class that does your job just better? You know, why would you compromise yourself? And yeah, I don't know. Like, I think they need to find something special about it because I don't see much utility coming from the hunter, the survival spec, and I don't know. Like, why not get a rogue instead? So
Yeah, it
I
just
think,
seems like you're giving up your ranged benefit and you get nothing in return. At least from a perspective of a hunter.
Yeah, I mean, I just wonder if this is, you know, going to be sort of a failed experiment. Only we won't be going back, right? I mean, it'll just be melee for here on out, but something that very few people play, and then we'll just, hunters will now be down to sort of a, essentially a 2-spec class.
Yep.
Well, who knows? I mean, they just gave pets back to marksmen. They might give range back to survival.
It just seems like that's a bigger effort. Not that it's not impossible, but maybe they could do that, or who knows? Maybe whatever comes after Legion, they turn us into a hybrid and make survival some sort of tanking spec, which would really be a departure. But who knows?
Maybe Beast Mastery, you'll just become the beast yourself. You know.
I've thought about that. That was way back when Lone Wolf was talked about. I said, instead of Lone Wolf, they should have come up with a ability for Beast Mastery, just called it Altered Beast. I was thinking about that old Sega game from way back then, where and you morph with your beast and take on your abilities of your beast, and that might have been a better way to go than Lone Wolf.
Isn't that just a druid?
Oh, dude, don't ruin it.
No,
There's nothing
really.
like a druid.
No,
because you wouldn't actually be a beast, yeah? You would be a hybrid. You would be kind of like a centaur, But with its pet, like they will just go and make models for every different species, right? So you could be like half, you could be from the half, from the middle up, you can be human, and from the middle down, you could be like a spore bot, something like that.
that's right.
How about you just have a beast and just strap a gun to your back?
Yeah. Although I don't know what they would do with Tauren, because Tauren are kind of already there anyway, so they'd give them human legs, I guess, maybe.
No, spider legs.
Yeah.
Like a statue moving around.
So there's some other changes. I noticed that I think they introduced some changes to the Hunter Tier 17, which is our current tier. I think they made some modifications those to match the changes going into Legion. So we'll all start off with that gear. But at least they sort of do that every expansion where they make sure that the current tier isn't broken due to all the changes that they've done. So I don't know if they've changed the bonuses per se. It's just that different abilities now affect those bonuses.
Yeah, survivals is a little bit different.
Except for survival, right? I think for survival.
Well, yeah, because all the abilities are gone from it, so I had to change it a little bit.
Well, their 2-piece bonuses, when you lacerate, you also gain a stack of Mongoose Fury, and then their 4 pieces, when you hit the target with lacerate, your critical strike damage is increased by 5% for 3.5 seconds. So that's their tier 17.
I'm just glad they didn't touch the instant aim shot, because I'm gonna love it while leveling.
They didn't? I thought it was.
I think they did, actually.
Wait, what?
Yes. So this is with the Marksman 2-piece for the tier 17.
Oh, wait, they did?
Aim shot, critical strikes, restore 8 focus, but the 4-piece was while true shot is active, your critical strike damage is increased by.
You're confused.
Am I confused?
Yeah, tier 18 is the newest one.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a different tier. Yeah.
All right, but all right, let me check I thought what I put in the notes was the tier 17 4-piece.
And you put
bonus.
tier 18.
Yeah, they changed both tiers, yeah?
Yeah.
They changed both tiers. Because, yeah, like the the aimed shots giving you back more focus. That's not the tier 18 one. The tier 18 one is you get the Chimera shot, gives you a chance to get rapid fire for 4 seconds. They changed both of those actually. Yeah, they changed in some specs. They changed both tier 17 and tier 18, but I don't think they touched the instant aim shot, right? Please.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Okay,
All
we're
right.
good.
I guess you guys have. I mean, I'm looking at the MMO champion when they put the spell changes for this build that hasn't been implemented, and it says Hunter tier 17 marksmanship 4-piece bonus.
Right,
But
that was last tier though, not our current tier.
Oh.
Yeah.
What are we? We're on tier 18 now. I can't count.
Yes.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
Yeah.
We're all good now.
Good grief. Have they announced the tier, I guess, 19 bonuses yet?
Yeah,
There's
some of
early
those data
versions.
mined.
Yeah.
Wait, they did? Did I miss that? Oh.
Yeah, I've got a post on it somewhere.
Are you sure it wasn't just placeholders?
Yes, they were placeholders. They weren't
Oh,
very
okay.
exciting, but I mean, it was
Okay.
just something they put in there. So
Yeah, because I kind of remember reading it, but I was like, there's no way these are
Right,
just
right.
increased flat damage or some boring stuff. I don't know. Yeah, definitely. Placeholders.
All right. Well, that wasn't at all confusing for something simple. All right.
yeah, okay. So here we go for tier 19. Just real quick, Beast Mastery 2-piece Dire Beast reduces the cooldown of Bestial Wrath by an additional 5 seconds. What does it already do? 15 seconds.
Okay, yeah.
So, it's just a little bit more. 4-piece, when you use Bestial Wrath, all of your currently summoned Dire Beasts gain 20% increased damage for 10 seconds. So, yeah, just some flat. I think Marksmanship, True Shot reduces the cost of all your focus abilities. 4 pieces, every 20 focus you spend reduces the cooldown of True Shot by 1 second. Survival 2-piece is Flanking Strike now has 2 times the normal chance to trigger Hunting Companion, which is almost nothing. So that's kind of weird. And 4-piece is when Mongoose Fury reaches 6 applications, you gain 50% increased damage to all abilities for 6 seconds, which is awesome. I think that one was really fun and can create some pretty interesting play styles.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that sounds cool. Maybe I'm just wrong then, because maybe these are the actual ones they're gonna go with.
It kind of makes sense that Survival would have the most interesting one since it's the newest spec, I guess, or the most different.
The Beastmaster ones doesn't look that exciting.
No, and I think for the first tier in these expansions, I mean this first set's set bonuses tend to be a little less interesting, and they have the sort of least amount of impact on rotations. It seems they tend to go pretty basic and then ramp up as we get into those final tiers.
Okay. Well, and we've also got the legendaries to contend with.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows how wacky they can make tier bonuses when the legendaries will be changing your spec a lot.
Yeah, if depending on how easy they are to obtain, I imagine not very. I don't know. Well, I mean,
Doesn't matter how easy. We're all going to do it anyway.
Right? I know.
Hype.
Save up some Netflix shows so you can have something to watch while you farm.
While you're farming, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, yeah, I'll be curious to see if those items actually make it to see the light of day like that. I don't know. I'm sure they will, but boy, when they start to be must have and everyone starts theory crafting around those too, it'd just be crazy. So I think we had one question from the chat room, and we kind of touched upon it already. But this is from Tannen. It says, if they balance the specs completely evenly, would anyone actually play survival? And I think I don't think so. I just don't think so.
Well, I think it's interesting if it were really balanced well, to where for some fights survival is slightly better, for some fights marksmanship or BM slightly better, and the fights where survival was better, I wasn't needed to do some, whatever mechanic that hunters are always made to do. I would do it, yeah. If it did, even just slightly better damage. I think it'd be fun to every once in a while pick up survival. I definitely wouldn't switch like for a whole tier. I wouldn't do every one because I can't imagine a raid team where they don't need hunters to do
Right.
their hunter jobs.
Yeah.
But if it was really balanced well, that would have to mean survival had some kind of benefit to the raid that other melee don't bring. So I think if balance means completely balanced, not just numbers.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like the only problem that I see is that over the past, don't know, decade, I guess, hunters have been very good at basically moving around fights as a ranged DPS in order to kill ads, etc., right? Or do
Right.
other mechanics. So maybe for some bosses, as Delirium said, but the thing is that most of the times you're not gonna just go into a raid and then suddenly you're gonna switch your spec to survival for this one boss,
Mhm.
unless it's like the boss you're really trying to kill and you desperately need survival. I mean, if they're balanced damage-wise as well, why not keep playing your spec that you've been comfortable with? So survival definitely needs something extra to make it worth your while going into it. I don't know. I don't think many people would play it. Some will, but I would say like 10%.
BM Jaeger made a good point. If it's balanced well enough that both specs do about the same amount of damage on a fight, or all three specs, I guess, then whichever one has the highest weapon is going to do the best. So you're just going to play whichever one has the better upgraded artifact weapon. So yeah, maybe there won't actually be a time when
That's true.
you're on actual progression and you have both of them artifact weapons at the same point, and you can just switch because you feel like it for fun.
Yeah, also, you usually want a good balance between ranged and melee DPS in raids. In raids, and when I'm saying this, mostly, I mean you need a certain amount of ranged DPS, okay?
Mhm.
Because there are certain things that only ranged players can do, okay? Or can do effectively. So if you have enough ranged, then sure, maybe you can switch to survival. But more often than not, you do need some ranged DPS. And again, I've said this before, there's only 6 classes that can play ranged DPS. There's going to be 9 classes that can play melee DPS. So probably going to need some ranged DPS. You don't want to lose one to gain another melee.
Especially with demon hunters coming.
Yeah,
Right.
I
A
added
ton
that
of people
into
that play that.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, demon hunters. I really think if they had added survival as a melee spec without demon hunter, it would be much more viable. That a lot of what they're taking away from survival is because they want demon hunter to feel unique. Like it's the spec that can move around a lot and has obscenely overpowered movement buffs. And so they had to, even though that's what hunters feel like at range, they took that away from survival hunters so that demon hunters would feel unique. It's just silly. Meh.
And that is a good point. I mean, demon hunters are going to be everywhere, right? Everyone's going to have a demon hunter, so you're going to see them all over raids and stuff like that. So the need for a melee class and for hunters to fill that niche is going to be pretty small. So
Oh my goodness, so many elves everywhere we look.
Yeah.
So a lot will come down to how well they balance out beast mastery and marksmanship and how competitive those two specs are. Although honestly, with the whole artifact weapon and keeping that upgraded, it could very well be challenging to have to swap between two specs.
I can't see myself swapping. I think it's going to be, at least at the beginning, it's going to be a matter of picking a spec and just sticking with it.
Yep.
Yeah, basically peaking marksmanship and never looking back.
Right.
Okay. Oh, also, don't know if you touched on this the previous show, because I don't remember when the change happened, where they put headshot in the last tier again.
Right.
They moved it down.
Right.
Did you touch on that last time?
Yeah, we
Or was
talked
it not?
a little bit about that in Sidewinders.
Okay. Yeah, I
Did
just
you have
think
something to say?
well, I just think that basically at the current state, I mean, they'll probably change it a few times again, but at the current state of the alpha, there's kind of like two routes that you can take with your talents. Let me just bring it up real quick so I see the names so I don't mess it up. Give me a sec. Because there's like, come on, please. Uh, Oh my God. Okay. So yeah, my Firefox doesn't want to comply. Okay, here we go. So basically, I think, okay, the deciding thing is going to be the Sidewinders. Right now, I don't see lock and load being that good, like compared to the others. Maybe I'm going to be wrong in the end, but if you go for Sidewinders, you kind of need to go with Patient Sniper, right? That's how I feel at least.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
so if you go Sidewinders, you go with Patient Assassin, and then you have to go for Explosive Shot because you need that filler, okay? Because there's going to be downtime with this spec. There's going to be a couple of G3s coming up where you're going to have to do something, right? And then you also, I think, have to go with steady focus just to keep keep the flow good. At least that's how it felt. Um, so that's one route, yeah, where you throw a Sidewinder, then you throw 3 aimed shots, and then rinse and repeat. And at some point in between those, you throw an explosive shot here and there, or you use your wind burst from your weapon, right? The ability from your weapon.
Right.
And I think that's a pretty cool thing to have. Plus, you know, the Sidewinders, if you play it properly, you kind of keep up the debuff all the time up, the 10-second debuff on the target, and which is good. Oh wait,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
crit for aim
the crit
shots that you're
one.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Aim.
The 15% from the weapon, from the artifact points that you
Right.
put. So if you play it properly, you'll keep it up all the time until a point where you run out, because you know, it stays up for 10 seconds, but Sidewinders has a 12-second recharge, but you start with 2 of them. So every time you shoot one, theoretically, you're cutting down 2 seconds. If you get my drift here, but yeah, you can keep it up for a very long time. Anyways, that's the one route, and then the other route is you don't go for Sidewinders, you go for headshot instead. And I think then you don't go for Patient Sniper because you're wasting so much focus on headshot that you're not going to use the you're not going to have enough focus to make good use of the Patient Sniper. So instead you go for careful aim, and then you probably go for true aim as well, yeah, because you can probably keep that up because you don't have to stay stationary as much to spam aim shots. And I think, and you can go with anything, explosive shot or a black arrow incoming now, I guess, or trick shot, I guess, whatever ends up being the best. You're not so limited. And I think both of those specs are really cool. I like the fact that you go and one talent affects the other choices as well, right? I think it's interesting to have two kind of styles just determined by the Sidewinder's talent. And that's what I
Yeah.
expected from the new talents, you know, to be really heavy on adjusting your style. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
just
not a
want to
big
put that
fan of
remark.
both Patient Sniper and Heightened Vulnerability. I think they kind of serve the similar purpose. But yeah, it does make for, it's kind of like you have a different spec if you choose one of those two, or Sidewinders, I guess. Then you have, yeah, it's like the whole mechanic of marksmanship seems to be based around building up stacks and then dumping aim shots, and then, you know, or trying to keep them rolling or building them up again. And all three of those talents kind of totally change the meaning of the spec or the basis of what you're doing. So it's yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it yet.
Well, honestly, since you said the heightened vulnerability, I think that talent sucks, or because they made it so that the duration of the debuff is 30 seconds now, right?
Yeah. So it's really easy to do it. The only reason,
So yeah, unless you're swapping all the time, well,
right?
might as well go patient sniper then. You know what I mean? I, I don't see the reason for heightened vulnerability to exist. I don't think anyone is going to pick that. Just plus, it's another button you have to press. Nah.
Yeah, and then careful aim also on that tier is just silly. It's such little damage. I don't
Yeah.
know what the point of it is.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a passive thing, I guess.
I think there's a artifact talent. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head that gives you a buff at a crit buff at the end of a fight if you hit something that's below 20%.
Yeah, it's called Bullseye. Yeah.
Bullseye, that's right.
It's a special. Just to say, yeah, so everyone knows. Special attacks against a target below 20% health grant a 3% critical strike buff for 6 seconds, and this effect stacks. So I guess it stacks infinitely. Yeah, you go 100%.
Right, yeah, up to 100%. All right, I think I was getting well over that on training dummies, but I don't know if that'll stay the case when the game goes live. But it was definitely working where you could kind of snipe a different target, an ad or something, snipe something that was below 20%, and then switch back to the boss, and you kept whatever buffs you had. So if you keep it running, if you have a lot of ads coming out, you can just pick one that's below 20, hit it, go back to the boss, pick something else below 20, hit it, go back to the boss. And so I don't know. I thought like something like that is really interesting and fun to play with. Maybe it's a little exploitative. I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
it definitely makes your rotation interesting. Whereas careful aim, like as it's spelled out here, is just so boring. 20% increase to crit strike chance. It's no stacking. There's no like. You can't pass it on to the boss or anything like that. It's just you get a roughly 20% more damage to those ads if you hit it above 80%, and that's it.
Yeah, I think
compared to what do we get now? 50% crit chance on our aim shots, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah, but the nice thing right now is that you can have that with your rapid fire as well. Yeah, that's what makes it kind of cool. Yeah, the thing with careful aim is I think it's just going to be the case of if you're progressing, some bosses might require you to nuke it after it phases. So think about it like a boss like Gorfind, right? You probably don't want to pick careful aim because it's going to do nothing in the phase where you do double damage. So you probably don't want to pick that there. But there might be some other bosses where it's just in raids, and it's just from start to finish. And you just want to put as much damage as possible on the pool. And or it might be the case where you have to do a very tight timing on transitioning the boss, like Archimond. You need to push him before he spawns an extra Doomfire, for example. So in those cases, careful aim will be cool. But I would love to have some kind of interaction with it, apart from just being a passive, kind of like they did with the current one, where it procs when you have the rapid fire up as well.
Right, if it procced with True Shot, that'd be much more interesting. So you could line it up if you needed to. So I got kind of sidetracked from the show notes here. I'm not sure where we were.
I think we started with would people play survival? Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and as I say, I think we kind of reached the end of our show notes actually. So we're certainly past our hour. So unless there are any other topics, I think why don't we call this one a show and come back in a couple of weeks and do it again.
All right. Last thing I have to say is it's pretty cool trailer for the Warcraft movie, I think. Or?
Oh yeah, I saw it for the first time out.
We got it. There was a dwarf in one of them. I love it. It was great.
Yeah. I'm kind of disappointed by the lack of hunter-ish stuff, though. Or have I missed something? Like it's all about warriors and swords and blah blah blah. Like, Give me some more hunter stuff. Give me a Legolas or something.
Yeah.
Well, whatever hunter they give us, it's going to be the name that everyone picks for the first 2 months after the movie.
Yeah, followed by triple X after it. Yeah.
Release Dark Brew.
You know, my thing has been going. I mute when I'm not speaking, and I just was talking for about 30 seconds there. By the way. So I don't know what I was commenting on, but whatever it was, you didn't hear it. I mean, it was Roger had mentioned whatever the name would be, it would have triple X, and I said, yeah, or it'll have letters with dots and squigglies around it.
Oh yeah.
Whatever the name is, we'll bring it to you here on the Hunting Party Podcast. So, on that note, you have been listening to episode 236 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I am Dark Brew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from thrillofthewild.com and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
And I'm Bendak from eyesofthebeast.com, Blizzard Watch, and Bendak Wow on Twitter.
And I'm Roger Brown from somewhere in Greece.
All right, check us out.
And I'm Alexander.
All right. Yes, you are. And now I'm lost. See, Ali's at the end.
Check us out on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or at our RSS feed to your reader. Links are available in the show notes, which I have now successfully screwed up.
If you have a question or a topic you would like us to announce on the show, email us at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com or send us a tweet at huntingpartypod.
All right, stay thirsty, my friends. Remember to drink your dark brew lager.
Siempre prestar la emoción de lo salvaje.
Keep your eyes on the beast.
As ξεκινήσει το κυνήγι, aka let the hunt begin.
Oh, I like
For
that.
Ezra.
That's good. We actually haven't screwed out an outro in several episodes, so we were long overdue. We used to do it every week. It was that was good. We needed that.
Life stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome sauce. I'm a dues payer, a boss slayer. I rock out with my lockout Viper to cheetah to dragon hawk. No time to waste, cause I can jump shot. BM, MM, and SB. I can rock out any tree. Never worried about my threat, cause I've got FD and misdirect. Catching loose mobs in my traps. I never miss, cause I am hit capped. Cause I'm the hunter, not the marked. I'm the fighter, not the spark. I'm the kiter, not the kite. I'll top meters every fight. Rated and cave dealing death. Just me, my gun, and my trusty bed. Now let's begin with Illidan, Osirian, and Gil'jadan, Magdamar, Asgalor, Gruul, Cthulhu, and Razorgore, Onyxia to Ragnaros. Which one have we killed the most? Kel'Thuzad to Malygos. We even killed the Kama's ghost. Feels like we're getting close, all that running as a ghost. Yogg-Saron, Thorian, Sartharian, Megthuridon, Sapuron, Lucifer to Sulfuron, Archimon, Amalon.